Go ahead, Inaz. I'm sorry. Did you have something to say? No.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that for the record, I don't disagree. You're not getting any pushback from me on that statement. Like, men are the leaders. They're the leaders of households, the leaders of communities, the leaders of workplaces, the leaders of the world, right? And so by default, that's where the responsibility lies if it falls apart. That at the same time doesn't absolve women who are bucking up against what they're supposed to be doing. That those are two separate conversations, right? But I don't know a man who genuinely is resolved to get married who has not found himself a wife. It might have taken a little bit longer than he wanted to. It tends to be men who are more easily influenced, who listen to a lot of these conversations that speak against marriage, who will alter their goals. But men who are resolute will find a way come hell or high water.
So the only pushback really I have for that is the women that buck up are typically women raised in a fatherless home. And that fatherless home, I do in fact blame on the man. Like, bro, where the hell have you been? Where'd you go? What'd you do? I know society be on your back. I know. I promise you. I know. I've been there. But where the fuck you been, bro? Like, why are you sitting on the sidelines while this woman is raising basically was raising us, like my generation? I'm like, we are truly that first generation of where we got to see a large swath of fatherless homes. I won't say the majority because I haven't looked up the 1980s numbers, but I will say that there was a large swath of fatherless homes. Where the hell were you? Pop, where were you? Like, and I'll give a personal example. Like, my dad actually went to jail. This nigga went to jail on something he could have prevented. The government did not make him traffic narcotics across state lines as a military police officer. That's a decision he decided to make. So, of course, there's gonna likely be a divorce, especially when the other parent is also in the military. Can I blame my mom for that? No. Nigga, where you go? Where were you for about 8.5 years of my life? And there's so many stories that are very similar to that. There are hoods filled with young girls that were raised by single mothers who in my opinion, I think that there needs to be a yin and a yang to raising children. So with the single mom, all you get is the yin. There's no yang, there's no structure, there's no really true deep voice discipline. And thus, when these women grow up and they didn't get to see the proper interactions between a man and a woman, of course they're gonna buck up. The only voice they heard their entire lives was a female's voice. So, in my opinion, that still falls on the man. And I'll stop there.
Did anybody else want to add to that? While we're just trying to waste a little time to Mark gets here because I don't want to start and have to reverse. So, but I see some of the comments that are in the chat. And one of the comments is, and this is real quick, this is not to go on for 15-20 minutes, but one question was, how do we fight the good for why do you think that men believe that women are leaving them for government assistance? Now, I do think that was a thing of the past. But why do you think that is still what men think that women are doing? Anybody?
One of the things that came to mind when I had saw that, and it was something that AP had just said as well, is the idea of families broke apart when the government got involved, right? Like the story comes from a mindset of men feeling like once the government said that, that they'll step in and, the women will have access to money to take care of their children without having them present, right? Um, and the system was in place that the man couldn't live in a house and all of that, which, I mean, honestly, why are you, back then, especially the environment back then was shacking up wasn't something that was appropriate anyway, right? If you're living with a woman, you get married. So I can't necessarily blame, like, I don't understand blaming the government for something like that. You know what I'm saying? But I guess my question is, how did the government even get the opportunity to get involved if you were in the house, right? So the opportunity is only there if you're not married to that woman. So I think that was the first problem, is that she gets pregnant, she's not married, and then now, yeah, she now has an opportunity to probably better take care of the child. But the question is, why is she in that position? Right? There's some ownership that comes along with that. You can't get upset at the government because the government is stepping in to take care of responsibilities that, as a leader, you should be taking care of. You should make sure, your child's mother has a father. You know what I'm saying? The government shouldn't be the default, is what I'm saying. That shouldn't even be an option if you were involved. So that's kind of how I feel about that. The other thing is the initial question about Black love. I do think Black love exists. I think the problem is that our focus is so much on the getting part as opposed to the giving part of the love. And I think that's where we fall in not really being able to build deep connection and relationship, because if you're focusing too much on the part that you're supposed to receive from the relationship, you're going to miss out and not give the way that you're supposed to. Because I think with the love part, most of it is the giving, and the receiving, it just naturally is reciprocal, is reciprocated when you give. So that's how I feel, is just we're not in a place where we're willing to sacrifice and give and those things. We just want one aspect of it.
So I think people don't understand money as much as they say they do, because what government assistance looked like when these programs initially started could actually sustain a household without the man being in the household. That's not true today. If we're honest and you look at the numbers, it's not. You you can't. Inflation has gone up crazy amounts. The housing market has gone up crazy amounts. People can't actually live off of government assistance comfortably the way that they used to. So maybe it was true in the past for a period of time where women would opt out, whether they were unhappy in the relationship, whether they chose the wrong man, whether the man abandoned them, whether they wanted to be feminist, whatever reason you want to give them, that was true for a time period. That is no longer true. But women don't live these crazy, comfortable, lavish lifestyles that they couldn't get with a man on the government's dime. I think it's silly to still bring that up today as if it's like that assistance doesn't still keep you living below the poverty line.